Halito, halito, people on the YouTube live. Halito. All right, so if you guys are coming in, we still have a sign-in sheet going around. So if you guys want to sign that whenever you're able to, that'd be great. And we're gonna go ahead and get started. So, halito, achimachugma. Chukma, yeah, so a lot of people know a little bit, so that's all right. So I have here with me some papers I got for you guys. This is what we're going to be using for at least a couple of weeks while we're doing the month of July. So if you want to take one of these and pass them around. So while that's getting passed around, I want to tell you guys a little bit about myself. Halito Sahochifuya Joshua Dani, Atoka Amitale, Atoka Atale. Let's see, Chata Siyahoge, Chata Mississippi, Chata Simonole, Akia Siya. Chata nopa anopahulina fami tuchina fugale. Chata nopa ikana hachibana ka sanayupa fina hoki. Hachbisaliga sanayupa fina hoki. Hash ayalaga achukma. So, Alito, my name is Joshua Dani. I am Choctaw. I'm Choctaw, Mississippi Choctaw, and Seminole. I'm from Atoka. I actually live here in Atoka as well. I've been speaking Choctaw for a little bit, over 3 years now. Let's see, what else did I say? It's good to see you guys here. Hope you guys back there can hear me too. So I'll probably move to the middle here in a little bit, but it's good that you guys are here. It's really good that you guys are here because we're all trying to learn Choctaw on this journey, but it's kind of hard because all of our Choctaw speakers are going away, and so it's kind of hard to get all of the Choctaw that we need. And so, but I will say that, you guys being here is really important. You guys being here is just a huge step in the right direction because we need more people to help us speak the language. And so, it's good that you guys are here, and I'm very thankful and I'm very blessed that you guys are here, taking the opportunity to try to learn this language. And so, first things first, I would like to say that a little bit of a disclaimer is that I am not a Choctaw fluent speaker. I am not a Choctaw fluent speaker. Just right off the bat, just to get you guys a little information about me, I've been learning since 2022, I believe. And so I don't know everything, but what I do know is how to have small conversations. And so that's what I'm trying to get you guys to, that point, is to have small conversations. Because how many of you guys know a little bit of words? You know, how many of you know Tushpa? Tushpa, yeah. How many of you guys know Impa? Yeah. How about Nosi? How about Halito? Hey, everyone should know that one. No, but it's good that you guys know those things. But like I said earlier, and I told the people here that got here earlier, that we're going to kind of start from ground zero. We're going to start where basically, like nobody knows anything. All right. So it's gonna be tough because we are gonna do it a little slow. This class will be a little slow, and so we're gonna do the fundamentals. We're gonna do the alphabet. We're gonna work on the sounds, and then we're gonna start getting into introductions. And so what I did earlier, like when I said Sahochifuya Joshua Dani, Atoka Amitale, Atoka Atale, Chata Siyahoge. Stuff like that. Little things like that. That's what we're going to get into. But then we're also going to learn how to greet one another. But for this one, for this class specifically, we're going to work more so on the sounds of Choctaw. Because if you guys have a good foundation of the language, then you guys will can look at a word and you can say it right off the bat. And so that's what's good about what we're going to be learning today. And so, let's see. Papers, are we all out? That's what we were worried about. Quality of papers. So, one more. How many needs a paper, a packet? So we got 1, 2. How many over here? 3, 4, 5, 6. Probably about 10, Twyla, if you don't mind. Okie dokie. So, if you guys don't mind, if you guys do have the packet, if you guys have the papers, we're going to look at the alphabet. We're going to look at the alphabet right now. So I'm just going to go over a little bit about the alphabet because it's a little bit different than Choctaw. Also, another disclaimer is that Choctaw is not English. And so whenever you think about English, try to get all that English out of your mind, throw it away, because we're only going to be doing Choctaw. A lot of the times when people learn Choctaw, their English gets stuck in their brain and they want to say it just like English. But I always say Choctaw is reversed from English. A lot of people say it's backwards, but I don't like to use the word backwards because to me, backwards kind of seems almost kind of wrong sometimes. Like if you put batteries backwards into a remote, it won't work. And so if you say Choctaw is backwards, that means it won't work. To me, at least. You don't have to think like that. That's just how I think. So it's in reverse order, or we can say English is backwards. Hey, no, I'm just kidding. No, but so if you guys want to look at the paper, we're going to mostly focus on the vowel sounds. And so just like English, we have vowel sounds. But I know you guys probably can't see, that's why I have these papers, but I'm going to write here. We're going to start with A. So A. And it might be reversed for you guys on the live, but so A. Who knows what the A sound sounds like? Ah. And so, let's see. In English, this A right here sometimes likes to change the sound, right? So sometimes you hear A, you hear ah, you hear ah, you hear or whatever. But once you learn this sound here, it's going to make the same sound no matter how you see it in the word. And so when we say this word or this letter right here, it's always going to be ah. So say that with me. Ah. Yeah. So just imagine yourself going to the doctor and the doctor says, say ah. You go, ah. That's the sound it will make. So if you got the paper, you can see the first word there says afama. And so you notice that there's 3 A's in there. And so if we break it down by syllable, a, fa, ma. It's not afama. It's not afama or afama or whatever. It's a, fa, ma. So just looking at that helps you realize that that sound will always stay constant no matter what sentence you have or what word you have. So if you want to look at the example sentence there, if you needed the paper, can you raise your hand? Twyla, you got one back here. Just raise your hand for the paper and Twyla will come and bring it to you. So if you guys want to look at the example sentence, it says, I'll read this a little slow for you guys. Chi afamali kat sa nayupa. Chi afamali kat sa nayupa. So I gave you the answer there. It says, I'm happy to see you. Or in some cases you can say, I'm glad to see you. But what I want you to realize is that even within the sentence, afama still sounds the same. So chi afamale, and then you see na, and then yukpa. So chi afamalika sana yukpa. That's how you say, I'm happy to see you. So I gave you guys these papers because I have examples on there of each letter. And so the next letter we're going to look at is E. So if you guys want to look, thank you. Yakuki. So we're going to look at the word E. And so, self-explanatory, it says its own name. And so when you see the letter E, it says E. So say it with me. E, 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 E. So we got the word that's spelled E-P-A, E-P-A. We just learned A. So who wants to give a shot of how to pronounce this word? Ipa, Ipa. Yeah, exactly. Ipa. And so this word means we eat so-and-so, whatever. Not so-and-so, hopefully you're not saying something or the other. And so the example sentence there, so again, let's just say that word together. Ipa. 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 Yeah, Ipa. Achugma. Achugma. And so the example sentence here is Shuka nipi ipachi. Shuka nipi ipachi. And so if you can see the English, we like to eat hog meat. Or, sorry, my bad. We're going to eat hog meat. I can't even read my own handwriting. So, shuka nipi. Who knows what shuka nipi is? Oh, yeah, hog meat. Yeah, because that's delicious stuff there. Champole. Champole. So, shuka nipi is champole. But, yeah, so, shuka nipi ipachi. Shuka nipi ipachi. So remember, E always makes the E sound. E, all right? All right, so the next letter we're going to get into, next vowel, is the O sound. So this one might trip a lot of you up because we're all from Oklahoma. I think we're all from Oklahoma. But if you live here, then you're pretty much from Oklahoma. So. And so the thing with the O sound is that in English, just like the A, it likes to change its sound. But in English, I'll write a little diagram for you. You see that? It's like a duck's beak. So in English, I'm sorry, you guys probably can't see, but it's pretty much like a duck's beak, or I guess it's a less than sign. But anyway, so when you say O in English, you go, oh, oh. You know, when you say, a lot of people like to say halito, halito. But that's not the correct pronunciation. And so we're going to work on the O sound. In Choctaw, it stays the O. Oh, oh. Say it after me. Oh. A lot of you can't listen. Hey. Say it after me. Oh. 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 I'm glad you guys are so. Woo. Hey, not kidding. No, but like the joke I always like to say to get you guys to remember this is that the joke I always say is English Santa Claus always says ho, ho, ho. But a Choctaw Santa Claus will say ho, ho, ho. So if you guys remember that, then it'll be easy. Oh, oh. All right. And if you want an example, try to keep your your lips puckered a little bit when you go, oh, oh, oh. Remember, it's not oh, it's oh. All right. So the example I have is O-H-O-Y-O. Who knows how to pronounce that word? Ohoyo. Ohoyo. And so if you notice, the O's stay the same. O-ho-yo. O-ho-yo. So Ohoyo. Ohoyo. Yeah. Chugma. So, oh, I didn't go over the example sentence. Sorry, this is my first day. You guys have to forgive me. No. But so the example sentence is Ohoyo yat impa. Ohoyo yat impa. Ohoyo yat impa. And so what does that mean? The woman is eating. Yeah, exactly. So impa. Who knows that one? Yeah. I'll tell you in Choctaw that impagat ama chugma. Impagat ama chugma. That means I like to eat. I like to eat. And so, ohoyo. Ohoyo. All right. Let's move on to the next one. So, how many of you guys like to play tic-tac-toe? Just a few of you? How many when you're younger you like to play tic-tac-toe? Hey! Okay. So, before I get into that, I would like to say that ah, e, and o. Let's say that all together. Ah, e, o. Ah, e, o. All right. And so that's good. So this is what I would like to call our long sounds, our long vowel sounds. So I always like to put a little L here, and then so our L right here means long. All right. If you guys want to write this down on your papers too, that's fine. If you guys want to write anything down, that's fine. So our long sounds are ah, e, and o. Now we're going to get into our short sounds. So the first vowel we have for the short sound is this weird looking U. How many of you guys know what this weird looking U looks like? I mean, sounds like. Yeah. And so, if you look on your papers, let's see, it should be the second one after A. So, let's all say that together. Yeah, there you go. So I always like to say, to make this sound, it's like whenever your mom says, you better get in there and clean them dishes, you're like, And so that's the same sound it makes. And so if you look at the word, example word, we got Allah, Allah, Allah. And so this word, who knows what this word means? It's already on there, sorry. Child. All right, so young person or child, because, and I put young person on here because the speaker that I learned from, she always says, Allah yamad nosihosh benili, or something like that. Like that child is sitting there sleeping, but that child could be like 35 years old. And so to her, that's still a young person, but it's not a child. And so that's why I put on there young person as well. You guys can hear me back there? Okay, I'm just making sure. So yeah, Allah, Allah. Now let's look at the example sentence. Allah yat nayuba. Allah yat nayuba. And so if you notice that the weird word that's in the middle that says yat also has an upsilon. And that's what we call it. So this weird looking U is called an upsilon. I forgot to mention that. So, Allah yat na yupa. So let's say that. Allah yat na yupa. That means the child is happy. The child is happy. All right, yeah. So what is this? What does the A sounds like? Ah. What about the E? What about the O? Oh. What about this weird looking upsilon? Yeah. All right. So now we're going to get into the letter I. The letter I. So if you want to look at the letter I, so we have a weird relationship, this I. Because sometimes it might sound like I, but sometimes it might sound like E. But I will tell you that, in the old way of speaking, and I can't really say that with a lot of confidence because I'm not that old. I'm 32 years old. But from what I've heard from speakers, it's more pronounced like I. And so whenever, let's see, when you hear speakers, they'll say it, but like modern day speakers, modern day learners will say E. So how many of you ever heard someone say Atoksalili? Atoksalili. You hear how it says li, but it's spelled with an I. So how do you think it's supposed to be pronounced? Atoksalili. 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 So I can say Chakasha Anupa Ayok Chalinchi Atoksalili. And so you hear that? There's a difference. And so let's look at the example word. Ibak. Ibak. So say that after me. Ibak. 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 Yeah, there you go. So ibak. And so the example sentence there, ibak at chito. So say it together. Ibak at chito. Ibak at chito. And so obviously it means his or her hand is big. So if you got somebody with big hands, you can say ibak at chito. Ibak at chito. Her hands are big. Or his hands are big. Or large. And so all right. So now let's get on to the next one. This one throws a lot of learners off. I will say this. It's the letter U. The letter U. And so the letter U makes the O. 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 And so if you notice, it almost sounds like the O. But the reason why I say long sounds and short sounds is because the letter U is shorter. And so when you say the O, it goes O. O. But when you say the U, it says O. 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 So let's look at the example word there. Oh wait, let's try saying that real quick. O. 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 Sounds like everybody's getting punched in the gut. Oh! No, but the example word there is oshi. 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 And here's that deceptive I again. Oshi. Not oshi. Oshi. And so that just means son, offspring, or little version of. And so I gave you examples of each of those. So the son, the offspring, or the little version of. And so the example sentences, si or she. Si or she. That means my son. My son. And then you got wak or she. But when we say it, we say wakushi. 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 And if you guys know wak means cow, and so wakushi means calf, offspring. And then the little version of okisoshi. Let's try that. Okisoshi. 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 And so I will say okisa. Who wants to take a stab at that? Who wants to try to figure out what that word means? Door, yeah. Okisa means door. And so okisoshi means window. Window. You see how that works? And we'll get more into that later, but like I said, we're trying to get into the sound. So, o, 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 o. So there's the O and there's the U sound. All right? So what does this upsilon sound like? Let's try it again. What does it sound like? What about the I? I. What about the U? Oh, there you go. All right, so now we're going to get into the N. N stands for nasal. So we got the nasal A. The nasal A. And so a lot of times in class, or people teaching Choctaw, they like to over-exaggerate the nasal A sound because, you know, we want you to learn how to do it. And so the sound, the nasal A sounds like this. Ah. So if you can't make that on your own, I got a little trick for you guys. You can plug your nose and then say the regular long A. But once you start learning how to say this one, you don't want to go around saying, okay. You don't want to go up to somebody and just close your nose. So you got to learn how to do it without it. So, And funny enough, also means yes. So you guys are saying yes, yes, yes. No, but the example sentence I have there, it's on the second page if you guys didn't know. It's after Y. Anki, what I just said earlier. Anki. Anki. And if you need to hold your nose, that's fine. But remember, you can't do that every time. Anki means my father. My father. And so, I'll read you this thing right here. It's more about the other examples I have there, the A-N, the I-N, the O-N, the A-M, the I-M, and the O-M. So the Choctaw language also has nasal vowels, which we just discovered, pronounced through the nose. They are also, they are as follows, A, E, and O. And sometimes it's in like the dictionary, maybe Choctaw hymns, or maybe even the Choctaw Bible, it might be spelled with a U in the underline. And so that's the same thing as the O, but we'll get into that. And before a CH, an LH, and a T, or CH, L, and a T, the same sounds are spelled as A-N, I-N, or O-N. So they're still pronounced as A-E-O, or sometimes upsilon N. And then before a B or P, they are spelled A-M, I-M, or O-M. So there's just a little bit of spelling stuff for you guys, but we're not going to get into that just quite yet. So what does the nasalized A sound like? There you go. So next we're going to get into the I, the nasalized I. All right, the nasalized I. I kind of gave you the example already, but it's Yeah, so just like with the A, you can close your nose and just say the long E sound. So you can go E. E. And so the example sentence I have is E hullo. E hullo. And you see that E is by itself. E hullo. All right. So that means love, to love somebody, but it also means to be stingy or greedy. And so you got to be careful with this one. How many of you say chi hulole? I know my family does. But when you say chi hulole, that means I love you. And so, but in reality, it could also mean I'm stingy with you. But that kind of means the same thing, I think. In some weird cases, it sounds the same. But yeah, E. So let's say that. E. All right. What about the A? On me. And I will say also that a funny thing is, I told you that means yes, but I think English people started saying because Choctaw people said And so, I always say that too. Like people will say, you know what, he's going really fast. I go, I'll say it like that. And the Choctaw speaker that I learned from, she says that all the time too. We don't really say a whole lot anymore. And that's probably going away a little bit. That's the sad part. But a lot of times we just say So the next time you say you're speaking Choctaw. Hey. All right. So now we got the nasalized O. And just like with the other two, you can close your nose and say that long O sound, and it sounds like om. And so if you look at your example there, it's a long sentence, but the nasalized O is at the very end. So Choctaw anumpa ish anumpaleyo. So you don't have to say it. I'm just saying it for you. So Choctaw anumpa ish anumpaleyo. And so that means, do you speak Choctaw language? Do you speak the Choctaw language? So if I came up to you and said, Choctaw anumpa ish anumpaleyo, that's what I'm asking. I'm asking, do you speak the Choctaw language? And you would better be careful when you say because if a Choctaw speaker hears you say that, they're just going to rattle off to you. So you better be prepared for that. All right, and so that's all of the vowels. And so there are some other vowels that we're going to get into, but these are the main ones that you're going to see from a lot of the sentences that you're going to be using and a lot of the words that we're going to be looking at. And so long sounds. Say it after me. E, O, I, sorry, my bad. I'm getting ahead of myself. E, O, There you go. Hey. All right, so a little bit of, you can see that, you can read this whenever you go home and study it, because this is why I gave it to you. Look at why we have an AN, IN, and ON, then AM, IM, and OM on your own. But I also will say this, in the Oklahoma Choctaw spelling, and I have to emphasize Oklahoma Choctaw because Mississippi Choctaws, they have their own spelling system as well. So I have to make that apparent. It's Oklahoma Choctaw spelling, okay? In Oklahoma Choctaw language spelling, there are no letters such as D, G, Q, R, V, X, and Z. Sometimes you will see a V, but it's because of this, the upsilon. We don't have an upsilon on the keyboard, and so we replace it with a V. But it doesn't make the V sound. It always makes the sound. All right? So always remember that. Let's see. Also, including diphthongs such as AI, which when you say those together, I. It kind of makes like the A sound, like I. And so that's what a diphthong is. You merge those two sounds together. I. But sometimes speakers will say A. So a word that you don't have to remember, but is the word for last. It's spelled Ishtaiyopi. So the way you pronounce it is Ishtaiyopi. Ishtaiyopi. That's how some speakers will say it. But what we learned is how you say it is Ishtaiyopi. Ishtaiyopi. And so, if you hear someone say Ishtaiyopi, that's their preference. If they say Ishtaiyopi, that's their preference. That's just where they heard it from. And so, don't say, oh, it's Ishtaiyopi or it's Ishtaiyopi. Don't go around saying that because that's just how they heard it when they grew up, okay? All right. And so, the reason why I like to go over the vowels is because some of the things that we talk about in our introductions and even in our greetings, we use these vowel sounds a lot. And so I got my word here, halito, but I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And I know you guys over there probably can't see it, but we're going to shout it out. All right. So the first word we're going to learn is halito. Halito. So, learning the vowel sounds that we just learned, let's break it down in syllables. So, H-A sounds like what? Ha, L-I. Le, and then to. To. So make sure you say to. To. So when you say it, halito. Halito. It's not halito. How many of you heard people say halito? Yeah. And so what I want to emphasize is that, a lot of the times in the Choctaw language, most of the time, the sentences and the words you say will be kind of monotone until the very end. And so, halito, halito, halito. There you go, yeah. So if you remember that, then it'll be easy for you guys to remember. And so the next word we have is yakoki. How many of you heard somebody say yakoki or yakoke? And I guess in reality, a lot of people do still say that, with the accent mark there, yakoke, because I guess that's kind of like how the old people would say it, the elders and stuff. But a lot of the times now we just say yakoki, yakoki. So if you notice, this word "thank you," it means, of course, it means thank you, but it also has a long vowel sounds: ah, e, o. And so we just learned that, right? All right. So break it down: ya, ho, ki. So now put it all together: yakoki, yakoki. So next time you go to Trout Plaza, tell them it's yakoki, not yakoki. Because in English, we say yeah, right? We say it like that. But remember what I said about the A, the vowel sounds. Once you learn them, they're going to stay the same way every time. So ya, ko, ki, yakoki, yakoki. Yeah. All right, and this last one here, chipi salah chiki. So let's try to say that. Chipi salah chiki. Chipi salah chiki. Chipi salah chiki. All right. So this first word here, chi. Cheen. Cheen. All right. This next word, P underline I-S-A. Pizza. Pizza. And a lot of times some people might write it P, they'll take this underline off and they'll write it P-I-N-S-A. That's just, it still affirms that it's nasal. So, but I like to write it like this just because it's easier for me. Pizza. So say it like that. Pizza. 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 There you go. Now the next one, la. 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 That one's pretty easy because we always say fa la 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 la. So that one should be easy. All right, then we got chi-ki. 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 Now, I'm going to say this whole thing, and then I want you guys to repeat it after me. Chippy Salah Chiki. All right, I'll see you guys later. Hey, don't you? All right, so yeah. But I will say that, halito obviously means hello. Hello. Yakuki means thank you. Thank you. But it also can mean like thanks. And so you can use it because a lot of other languages have like informal and formal and stuff like that. Choctaw, we kind of don't do that. And so Yakuki is fine for everybody. And then Chapi Salah Chagi. This is one thing I wanted to get to you guys. Chapi Salah Chagi just means I'll see you later. I'll see you later. I'll see you later, So if I wanted to say bye to all of you just using that, I would have to go to every single one of you. Chapi Salah Chagi, Chapi Salah Chagi, Chapi Salah Chagi, Chapi Salah Chagi. So I'm going to teach you guys one step further, all right? I know you guys probably can't see down there, but you can write it. So the difference is we got hachi. So H, upsilon, C-H, underline I. Hachin. Hachin. So let's say that. Hachin. 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 So what do you think that means? Y'all. We're in Oklahoma, so we always say y'all. And so that's basically the Choctaw version. But in reality, in proper English, we say you all. You all. And so when you say this one, it says Hachapi Salah Chiki. So let's try that. Hachapi Salah Chiki. Hachapi Salah Chiki. Hachapi Salah Chiki. Sorry if I'm on your way. Hachapi Salah Chiki. And so that means I will see you all later. So whenever I'm done here, I'll say Hachapi Salah Chiki. And so that's one thing that's new that you guys are probably going to start saying today, and I hope you start saying it because I hear everybody says this, and that's okay, because when people learn how to say goodbye, which we don't really say goodbye in Choctaw, we say see you later. Choctaw language, I guess like in essence they kind of say like I'll until I see you again, but that's not really what it says. It says I'll be sure to see you. That's basically what it's saying. Do you have a question?
Yeah. So if you say the bottom to us, will we then respond to
Yeah. Yeah. So if I say the bottom one to you guys, y'all and then can turn say the top one to me. So let's try that. Hachapi Salah Chagi. Yeah. But just remember, when you're leaving a group yourself, then you would use the bottom one, all right? But back to what I was saying, this just means I'll be sure to see you. I'll be sure to see you. And so if I got Hachapi Salah Chagi, what does that mean? I'll be sure to see y'all later. Let's put some country twang on it. I'll be sure to see y'all later. Hey, No, but like, I'll be sure to see you all later. And so that's very important because not a lot of people know that. And whenever people are learning how to say like the farewells in a different language, once they learn how to say it, they think that thing just means goodbye. They think that one thing just means I'll see you later. And it covers all the bases. And in essence, it kind of does, but if you're really trying to get into the language, then it really doesn't. And so we want to say Hachapin Salachiki when we're leaving a group, all right? But Chapin Salachiki is still fine if you say it, but just remember those nasals are in there for a reason. And we'll probably get into that in a later lesson, but I just wanted to give you guys a little breakdown of the vowel sounds, because the vowel sounds are important. And we can probably run through the consonants, because there's only one that I'm probably going to take a really deep dive on, because a lot of the times the consonant sounds mirror the ones in English. And so if you see a B, it's usually B. And then one thing I will note is that we don't have a standalone C. So if you see a C by itself, that's probably incorrect spelling. But in Choctaw. If you see it anywhere else, it's probably their spelling. But so you'll see it more or less CH all the time. So that's ch. And then you got F. It's still the same thing in English. So that word, falaya. It's always going to make the same sound. So H. Sometimes the H can be almost silent, almost borderline silent. So hiloha. That's how you would say that, and that's thunder. All right, and this next one here, we'll probably come back to it after I go through the other ones. So K, still the K sound. Kanipila means to throw it away. Litiha. So that means it's dirty. How many of you are litiha? Hey, no, I was kidding. And so I wrote on here on M that it's supposed to be like M underline I-T-I. So that's how you would say it. So it's not minty, it's mean tea. So if you read the back page where it has the I-N-O-N-A-N, you'll understand why. And then N, it still sounds like the English N. Nittak. So I got the example sentence. Nittak kanimafinaho. If you ever heard Choctaw Hymn 112, you've heard this. Nittakani mafinaho. So like that's the same thing. Nittak kanimafinaho means, and I kind of butchered that, but anyways, going over to P, still the same thing. It's the English P. Palaska. The S still sounds like the S. Shilla. And people have a hard time with this one too because they always say Sheila. And I always say, Kataho Sheila. So that, if you don't know, Kataho Sheila means, who is Sheila? So you want to say Shilla, because remember that I makes the I sound. Shilla. And then we got T, still sounds like the T in English. T-wi. And then we got W, Wakaya. Still sounds like the English W. And then Y. This one almost kind of sometimes gets silent too, but Yukpa. All right, now let's go back to the first page and look at that LH, HL. So this is the unique sound of Choctaw. And so you guys, I hope you guys are ready for this because this is not any equivalent to English, all right? And so you have to learn this sound. And so LH and the HL, they're spelled in different ways depending on the spelling of a word or whatever. And so to make it easy, we always say it almost sounds like the TH sound. So tha. But If you really want to get down into the old Choctaw sounds, then you would say sha, 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 sha. Have you ever heard somebody with a speech impediment that's like ashikano, ash, like that? That's kind of the sound you're gonna make. So if you want to learn how to make that sound, put your tongue behind the back of your front teeth, and then you should feel the air coming out the sides of your mouth. Now try not to spit on your neighbor now. But if you have a hard time doing that, just substitute with a TH sound for now. We want to try to preserve the old sounds because those sounds are going away. A lot of people will say like hatakashiha, but modern day speakers will say hatakathiha. And so we want to say hatakashiha, ashiha, ashiha. So that's something that you're going to have to practice because it took me a long time to get to that point too. And so it's just practice, practice, practice. All right? And so they're they change depending on if it comes before a consonant or if it comes before a vowel. But the reason I gave you these papers is so that you guys can go home and study. Study, study, study. And with these vowel sounds, I hope you guys can look at these words and know how to say it. And the last thing I will say before we have to wrap it up is that if you see a double consonant, like on the second word there, Allah, Allah, you have to pronounce those two consonants. Because there's a word in Choctaw with Allah, upsilon, L-A, that's a word in Choctaw. So if you say Allah, you could be saying to arrive here. And so you don't want to say arrive here if you're talking about a child. So that's why you kind of hold it out a little bit. When you see a double consonant, you want to hold it out just a little bit. Say Allah, Allah, Allah. And the same thing with the I. If you look at the word on the I, ibbak, ibbak, ibbak. You hear how it's like drawn out just a little bit? Ibbak. All right? And then also an N, nit-tak, nit-tak, nit-tak. And so that you want to pronounce those because that's the correct pronunciation. All right. So I know that was probably a little bit of a basic rundown of the vowel sounds. Did you guys get something out of that? Does that help a little bit? Yeah, it's a start. Because remember, we're going to start this slow. We're not going to, I always said that if you jump into a basketball game, you got to know how to play. You got to know the fundamentals. And so next time, I was going to try to get into the introductions, but we're kind of running out of time. Sometimes I do like to talk, and so I can go over, but that's fine, as long as we're all learning Choctaw. So these are the vowel sounds. Go home and practice them. So I always say, especially because we only have an hour a week, 25% of you learning the language is me teaching you what I know. The rest of the 75% is all on you. You got to go home and practice. You got to go home and say the sounds. It might sound silly, but look in the mirror and just talk to yourself. Say halito, halito, and try to pronounce that. Try to get that correct pronunciation. Because if you get that correct pronunciation, then you're going to sound like a speaker. Sometimes, because I'm a fanatic about the pronunciation, I listen to somebody how they say it, and I try to say exactly like they do. Impersonation, not intimidation. What is that word? Where you copy somebody, what is that word? Imitation, there you go. It started with an M, something like that. But imitation is also something that you need to do. If you hear a Choctaw speaker, say it just like they do. If you hear something like a word or something from, I don't know, someone or something, try to say it just like they do. Especially if they're a speaker, because they're the ones that know how to say it. And so in closing here, I just want to say thank you guys so much. Hachi Yapuki Lifina Hoki. Hashlaga Achukma Anoti. Thank you guys again so much for being here because Chatanupa Yad Amafina. Chatanupa Nitagayoka Chatanupa Anupalisaban Nahadawas Chata Anupa Anupalele. Kaniming Ma Amanupat Ankania. Yamano Akayo Pancho Ankaniagma or Ankaniagma P. Hachimabachi Liga Yamagos Sanayok Pachifina. And so I don't want to keep butchering myself and try to figure out what I'm trying to say, but what I'm saying is I'm glad to see you guys here. I'm glad that I'm able to teach you guys because every day I want to speak Choctaw. And so every day I try to speak Choctaw. But sometimes, if I don't speak, then my words leave me. And so likewise with the other speakers, if you see a Choctaw speaker, try to talk to them, even if it's just Halito or if it's just Chipin Salachigi or Yakuki. That little bit will get them going because I know it will me. And if you come and talk to me, I will try to talk back to you. As long as it's not like, rude talk back. Hey, what I'm saying? But it's very important for us to keep this going because, and I hope you guys continue to come because our language is slowly leaving us. A lot of the speakers today, they choose not to speak Choctaw to us because they find it easier to speak English to us. And that's kind of sad. It's not anything on them. It's because they find it easier to communicate. Because if they try to speak Choctaw to you and you don't know how to speak Choctaw, then they're just going to be like, well, I'm just going to speak English. And so as a whole, they just speak English to everybody. But we want those speakers to be comfortable enough to speak Choctaw to us. Say like, come on, speak Choctaw to me. Chata nopa, amanumpale. That's what you should say to them. Chata nopa, amanumpale. Speak to me in Choctaw. And so we want to encourage them to keep the language going because they're the ones that learned it first and then they had to learn English. A lot of the times now is that Choctaw language speakers, they find it a lot easier to speak English sometimes that they don't even try to speak Choctaw. And so that's sad too because I know sometimes when I talk to some Choctaw speakers, they try to talk to me in Choctaw for a little bit, but then they switch over to English because I'm having a hard time understanding or they're having trouble trying to figure it all out, which it's not really harder for them, but it is for me. And I don't want them to do that. I don't want them to have to stop speaking Choctaw because I'm struggling. I want them to keep talking even if I am struggling. So I want you guys to have that same mentality and don't get discouraged. Do not get discouraged. If you're a surgeon, then you can't make mistakes in your job. In language learning, we encourage you to make mistakes. Go on, make mistakes because that's how you learn. I will say this, I will put a certain somebody on blast. I won't say his name though. So one Choctaw learner, one time, they went to the Mexican restaurant and then an elder was there, all the elders were there, and he was trying to speak Choctaw to them. And at Mexican restaurants, they have those hot plates or whatever, and they come behind you and stuff like that. So he was trying to say, he said, Lily, I'm sorry. I said the name, oh no! That's the alias. No, I'm just kidding. But he was saying, Chimashaka yat lashpa. Chimashaka yat lashpa. And so that's the reason why we have these different pronouns and stuff in the Choctaw language. Because what he was trying to say was, it's hot behind you. But what he said was, your behind is hot. So what he was trying to say was chiashaka, not chimashaka. And so there's why. But from this day forward, he'll tell you that's the reason why he knows the difference between chi and chim. And so mistakes like that are perfectly normal. If you go out there and make a mistake, then that's perfectly normal. I hope you do make mistakes, but I hope you also on the back end correct yourself and figure out how to say it properly. So, like I said, I'm thankful that you guys are here. I hope you guys come back next week. And yeah, that's really all I have. And also, one last disclaimer I would say is, like I said, I'm not a Choctaw fluent speaker, so I can't translate things for you guys. So if you have like books or if you have papers or whatever that you want translated, I am not the right person to do that. I will forward you to the Choctaw language department and they can help you. But that's the only thing. And so I thank you guys again and Hachipin Salachagi. Ome. Yakoki. I hope you guys are okay. I hope that was okay. I hope I was loud enough. But I'm gonna end it right here and I'll come to your questions later. So Yakoki. Let's see, I wanna make sure I do this right. I'm sorry? Yeah, well, I did it live.